Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Katrina and this is day 7 of Christmas in July series with Heartfelt Creation products. For today's project we create a monochromatic, super fast, simple and flat A2 or A6 cards. So let's get started. So to create the bases for this kind of card, you could buy pre-made bases or you can create them. To create them it's super easy. Basically you will need A4 cardstock. You need to score it at half and then cut it at half to create two bases from the one sheet of A4 card. I usually used to create my mono-layer cards or one-layer cards, pre-made bases. As I want to show you how I mass produce Christmas cards, I will use the stamping platform. You can use whatever stamping platform you have, and I don't know if you ever use the platform, but basically the first thing you need to do is to position the stamp. Now this is the stamp from newest Snowy Pine collection, and this is kind of tricky because you have only like these cardinal tails, so you need to figure out yourself how to put your stamp, how to find the perfect position for your stamp. So I'm using this foil from the die set, and as you can see it's quite messy because I use these foils all the time, because you don't need to stamp on the copy paper. You just position everything. You use your baby wipes or even tissue paper, and then you can stamp again and check everything out. I use this method all the time. It's perfect. So when I position perfectly my stamp, I could leave it as it is on my stamp press and create the first card. So this is the first card. To create this card we will use the bamboo leaf memento die ink, but I will show you how to create this beautiful background using the mask. So basically for the simplest card we will stamp with the same stamp on masking paper, or I'm using just the scraps of copy paper, but it's more tricky with copy paper. So if you just starting creating the cards, I recommend to use the sticky notes or masking paper. So I'm cutting out the shape, and I don't use the die because I want to be as close the line as possible, and I'm using these small scissors, and this is actually the decoupage scissors, and I highly recommend them for fuzzy cutting. They are, I think, stainless steel and they are still sharp, and I love them. So I stamp these cardinals stamps using memento bamboo leaf. And now I will show you the pines. So in this pine cones set you have small and large pine cones, and this you have two larger one and two smallest one, and this smallest one actually they are perfect for background. So I'm creating the background using the same shade of ink, so in this case bamboo leaf, and I'm just changing the direction of my stamp to create like more variation in the background. So it will be our background full of pine cones, and using this mask I just fuzzy cut from the copy paper. I cover the image with stamp earlier, so this way I can stamp all around the image and my image inside is protected and tidy. So as I finish stamping my background around the cardinals, I will use today the brush. This is the craft brush. Actually, it was the first time on this video when I used the brush, and this is my first brush ever I bought. Just to test it out, and to be honest, if you want to create bunch of cards, these brushes are awesome because you don't need to think about how much ink you add to your dauber, because brush make inking, distressing more smooth. So yeah, you can easily watch TV and just inking the background. I bought already 4 more of these brushes. Yeah, so I use the brush. If you want to use the dauber, of course you can use the dauber, you can use the sponge. It's up to you what you prefer. And I try to just to distress this background around the stamp to have a contrast between the stamp and the background around. So here is the first look. I will ink the edges more, just to have it more darker, and then I will adhere it to my card base. So this is basically the basic, very simple way to create the Christmas card. So I probably will ask where to stamp the sentiment, so you can attach sentiments separately, or you can stamp on this background around the cardinals. So this is my second project. To create this project, I will use 2 kind of masks. Well, technically I will use 3 kind of masks, but I will fuzzy cut them from 2 stamped images, and I will use the mask we create earlier, and then from the second image I will fuzzy cut the cardinals, and I will show you in the moment how to use them. I always adding some advice for people who has problem with hands. I have problem with hands too. I mean, right now it's much better, but it was very bad in some time. So I think if you have big problems with hands, holding these cardinals will be difficult. So if you want to create bunch of cards with this method I'm just showing, it could be problematic, I think, in some point. So if you have problems with hands, stick with the first and the last one of cards I'm showing today. So for this card I use the Paris Dusk. This is the Memento dye ink, and I'm a little bit obsessed, to be honest, with this shade. This is not the navy, but this so vibrant, so beautiful shade of dark blue. So to create the background, earlier I used this larger pine cone, and right now I will use this smaller one, which is kind of more round. So I will put the larger mask on the top of my image, and I will stamp around, changing the angle to have the variation of images in the background. I think that this kind of background, when you change the angle of your image, which you're using for stamping, it gives you more like realistic look and more interesting look, to be honest. So it's super easy and quick, and I am just finished, so I'm just adding, you know, final touches to fill in the spaces in between. And now I will use this to mask with cardinals. So first I will ink the background, the same thing like in the first card. So I will start in the corner usually, and I will go to the inside of the card, because I want to have darker edges and the lighter bit of lighter inside of the card. So you can see it's very difficult to watch. I love this color. I don't know, I have like, you know, my own obsession with colors, and I love it. First I thought that it's not a good idea to invest in the new ink system, but to be honest, I'm so happy I did it. This Memento inks is like, you know, for me it's so refreshing. You know, I think we all need sometimes, you know, just something new to create, because they have completely different shade than archivals and distress inks. So it's like, you know, Christmas for me. I'm playing all day long with new colors, and it's so, you know, so much fun for me. So using these cardinals, I just basically stamp around, and I don't re-ink the brush very much. I just use the leftover ink on my brush, so I have very like gentle shades. So remember to clean very well your fingers when you finish the distressing, because it could you know, ruin your beautiful clean card base. I just adhere this panel on the front of my card, and my card is ready. Super easy. Okay, so for the last card, I actually you know, I was creating a bunch of cards, to be honest, and for this one I used 2 more masks. First I will use the mask we create for the first card. So this is this full image with cardinals, oval with cardinals, and then I will use these 2 stamped images, and I will fuzzy cut the top and bottom line. I will show you how to do it. You don't need to fuzzy cut like you know, the needles, pine needles, because they are very small, but I just follow just about the snow, for example, to create, you know, to save the color, white color on the background where you have the snow on the stamp. So I hope it makes sense. If it's not makes sense, just look how I cut it, because I think you can see very well how I cut it. So I basically cut top and bottom line. Right now I'm cutting the bottom line, and you know, when you don't see how the snow goes on these branches, you just need to use your imagination and, you know, just improvise how you think the snow could go on these branches. One thing I want to mention, I just cut out the oval very close to the line, and then I try to be as close as possible to these cardinals tails, because then we will not have this white border on the background, you will see. So now I will cut the top line, and I thought that maybe I'll start with this tail, so it'd be much easier for me to position the mask, because I use this birdie's tails as a reference to position my mask correctly on my background. I need to share, because every year I create this super like one layer stamped simple cards. I don't know, this kind of card is super simple, as we will for example in this card using a lot of inking, but they are super easy. You can sit, you know, watch TV and craft. I mean, I just, you know, make bunch of bases, then I only stamp one shade, then other shade, then over shade, and on the end I just assemble everything. I add the final touches. For this kind of flat cards it will be perfect to use for example these liquid pearls, or you can use the gel pen, any kind of silver or gold pen to add the, you know, dots or lines. It will be fine, I think. You can also add the clear glitter, you can add the fine glitter. Yeah, a lot of opportunities if you want to add more embellishment for this kind of card. Possibly you can add also the silver or gold thread, this teeny tiny one. It could looks very nice, you know, as you wrap the card around. So right now I'm using the Ladybug and Memento dye ink, and just to show you the variation of card you could create, I created the background using the small and large pine cones. So actually you have variation of sizes in the background, so on the end you could see the difference between the background. So right now I will use this top and bottom masks, and optionally you can use also these single cardinal masks. So I will place my mask, and as before with the brush, you know, with leftover ink on it, I will just brush from the mask to the paper. So in the one direction to don't damage my mask. And you could think that this is very gentle inking, but this is enough. You don't want to have too much, you know, dark background inside of this image, as we have this beautiful darker frame inked around, distressed around the image. So if I want to add more details, I could use these cardinals just to go back and add more details. And of course, inking the edges is my purpose of life. So I go back and using my awesome new brush, I ink the edges of my card to add more contrast to the final project. So on the end, I clean my desk, I clean my hands very well, and I just score all my bases. I create them myself, so that's why I need to fold and score the lines. And here you can see some variation of colors and backgrounds I created today, and even some boo-boos on the back side. You can see I try to color the cardinals, but coloring cardinals in red on the red background is not a good idea, as you can see. So this is the ladybug card, and this dark and green is the cottage Evie, I think, color, yeah. And this lighter green is the bamboo leaf color. So this is super easy monochromatic cards, really simple flat cards, regular A2 cards, or A6 if you live in Europe. And I will add the dimension for this one layer card in my blog post, so you can check out the dimensions and materials. More photos you can find on my blog, and of course, as always, all the products are linked in the description below. So yeah, I'm very excited to show you my quick and easy Christmas cards I will sell this year for my clients. I hope you like it and you give it a try. If you do, please don't forget to tag me, as I love to see how you use this idea for your Christmas card and projects. And that's it for today. Thank you, and see you tomorrow with another tutorial in Christmas in July series. Bye!